And welcome back to Who Would Win. Due to inventory at my workplace, I did not get the day off today like I normally do, so these videos are going to be out a little later. But I do have Thursday off, so whatever video I do that day will be out earlier in the day than it would be on Thursday. With that said, today's Who Would Win comes to us from... one second. Collis Williams. Oh boy, I'm going to butcher this one. Finel... And I don't think it's either Finette or Finel. I probably wrote it down wrong. Batazan and Dion Isaiah Knight, who asked the question: who will win the fight? Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage and father of Naruto Uzumaki, versus Isshin Kurosaki, all formerly known as Isshin Shiba, former 10th Division captain, father of Ichigo Kurosaki, and all-around goofball and badass all at once. So. This is going to be a bit more of a comparison of their abilities. That's the way I'm going to kind of structure this a bit. First and foremost, so let's get down to their physical stats. Then we'll go over their abilities, and then we'll do the actual scenario. So physical stats, and intelligence, all that. That I'm counting that in physical stats. Physical stats. First off, let's look at intelligence. Even though it's not physical, it's still part of the overall package. Who's the smarter individual between them? Who's the better tactician? Who would be able to control the battlefield a lot more effectively? And for me, I got to go Minato in that realm. Now, the reason for that is while Isshin is probably centuries older than Minato. Remember, Shinigami easily live into the thousands of years. Hell, Aizen is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, cursed to 20,000 years in the Mugen. And before he gets released again. So yeah, most of the characters we know will probably be dead by the time he ever gets let out. But he's a unique example where the Hogyoku, I believe, makes him immortal or more or less immortal. So yeah, but anyway, even like Yamamoto, we actually don't know the exact age of just about any Bleach character, save for like Ichigo or any of like the human characters. None of the Shinigami we know the exact age of, but we know for a fact that Yamamoto is several thousands of years old. Like he's held the position of head captain for 1,000 years. We know he's several thousand years old. Isshin is almost certainly a couple hundred years old. So he's been around a lot longer. He's probably seen more than Minato ultimately has. But the thing about that is, and we don't know a lot of Isshin's history is the problem. We also don't know the full range of his abilities. That's a big problem with this fight. We don't know what his Bankai is. So we don't know for certain if his Bankai would be able to change the battlefield. So we got to go with the abilities we have, unfortunately. We don't know how many fights Isshin's ever been in. We can assume he's been in a couple, at least, minimum. Big fights, small fights. He fought White. He fought against Aizen, sure. But Minato lived it through a war. He became a Jonin at a very young age. Became a Hokage at probably one of the youngest ages to be a Hokage. I think he was in his early 20s at the time he became Hokage. Then, because of the style of fighting ninja employed in the Naruto world, because of ninjutsu, because of, trickery, deception, ninjas are just, I think, naturally better strategists than Shinigami are. That's not to say there aren't Shinigami who are natural born strategists. If you're asking me Minato versus Urahara, I give the intelligence win right to Urahara from the get. Mayuri, hell, honestly, Aizen, obviously, but honestly, like Shunsui. It's one of those things where it all depends on the character. Isshin is certainly not an idiot, but he's not a tactician in that sense, at least from what we saw. So I gotta go Minato in that. Then we go into physicality. Now, in terms of physical feats, humans in Naruto are a bit more durable, particularly Shinobi, are a bit more durable than average, but they're still human by all accounts. You stab them through the chest, they're dead, or they're going to die pretty quickly, too. They can hold on for a few moments, but they're going to die. You take off their arm. They can still keep going without the arm to some degree, like Jiraiya did against Pain, or Naruto and Sasuke did when they lost their arm. Of course, once that fight was over, they were pretty much done. And Sakura was like, just stop moving or you're going to bleed out. They are a bit more resilient, and Minato definitely falls into that category. Remember, we're using normal Minato, not Edo Tensei Minato, which means he does not have pretty much infinite durability. But he's still human. He still can only take so much damage. It's probably above the average, so that's all for a human, particularly because he's Kage level ninja, but it's not a lot. Like, again, he got skewered by the fox's claw. He was going to die. He knew he was going to die. If he had been human and lost his arms against when he lost his arms in the final fight when he was Edo Tensei and he didn't still alive, he would have died from that almost certainly because it would have bled out. Jiraiya was able to stop his bleeding thanks to Shima and Fugaku. I believe that is it, Shimi or Shima, the two toes, because they were able to stop this bleeding. That's why he was able to keep going. But Shinigami, on the other hand, can take a lot. If you've ever watched Bleach, you know for a fact that Shinigami can take a lot of punishment. I mean, just look at any fight Kenpachi's ever in. Of course, Kenpachi's a completely different beast. Like Kenpachi versus Minato is a completely different fight. And Kenpachi might be an extreme example of that. But really, when you look at the amount of damage, like Shunsui, for instance, took a point-blank Sarah to the back, which is a massive energy blast. Basically just came out of there mildly burned and mildly concussed, but it came back swinging and fighting and beat Stark. Look at like Soifo was able to just have her arm just chopped off because it was going to be just degraded by Baragon's Respira, which aged and decayed anything it touched. She had it taken off, but she just wrapped it up and kept going. A couple other ones. Yamamoto lost his arm, gave up his arm, still good to go. I mean, it's an extreme example, but Kenpachi, when he fought Narutora, the man was being torn to pieces, and he was laughing the whole time. The only reason he kind of got serious because Narutora did cut his neck, which, major arteries. I'm like, jeez, I might actually die at this rate. I don't want to die, though. Dying would suck. I wouldn't be able to fight anymore. All right. It's like, yeah, it took him being realized, like, oh, I could actually die here. Okay. And then he still walked off all his other injuries. And Isshin is no exception to this rule. Isshin can take a lot, or Isshin, pronunciation. They're pretty much the same. Isshin can take a lot of punishment. Now, there is a catch, though. And there's a reason why we can't use his Bankai. A, we don't know what his Bankai is. But B, his Bankai puts a lot of strain on his body. And this is actually said by Aizen. And he even says that if he's heavily injured, he can't control his Ryatsu properly. And therefore, it makes using his Bankai near impossible. Now, whenever I get to the Zanpakuto theory video on what his Bankai is, that gives us a clue of what his Bankai can do. He also has an odd technique where he basically licked up the blood in his hand and spewed out more fire. But we'll get to that when we talk to his actual abilities. However, Isshin can take much more punishment than Minato can. Not saying Minato's completely hopeless if he takes a hit from Isshin. He can keep going to a degree, but still. Speed-wise, now this is very... And I'm going to also give the strength overall to Isshin, just because being a Shinigami, he's probably naturally stronger than Minato. Minato's not a physical fighter in terms of like raw power anyway. He's a tactician and a speed fighter more than anything else. But when it comes to speed, see, this is a problem with this particular matchup. And we're talking about their natural speed. I give it to Isshin because of his Shumpo, because of Flash Step. But Minato has a Flying Thunder God technique. Minato has Raijin on his side. That is the name of it, I believe. Raijin, right? Flying Thunder God. One second. I do want to get that name right. Flying Thunder God. One second. Thunder God. Okay, yeah. Flying Thunder God. I believe it's Raijin, right? Give me a translation here. The Japanese name of it is... Flying Raijin Jutsu. Either way, yeah. Raijin is Thunder God. So, Flying Raijin. Basically, all he has to do is put a seal, and he instantly teleports to wherever that seal is. That's how he took Obito down. That's how he was able to blitz, literally take down, I think he took down 1,000, I believe it's recorded, he took down 1,000 Hidden Stone Ninja. Am I correct in that? Because I've got the information for the technique up here right now. There is apparently level 2 to it as well, as he says against Minato, where literally, or Obito, where it phased through Obito. He was reacting right at that moment where Obito was about to touch him, and then he just took Obito down like a boss. Minato's awesome. We don't see much of him because he's dead throughout the actual series. We see him in flashbacks, like the Ninetales Fox tags, and we see him come back to life. And when we see him, he's pretty awesome. Like Isshin is Isshin's awesome too. Both these guys are awesome characters. So whoever I give the win to, just know not belittling the other one at all. I love both these guys. These guys are really cool characters. If anything, I wish eventually I'll do the Minato lived or what if, and we'll see my take on what I think would have happened had he lived. Now, I'm still in his history right now. I'm trying to find how many. I want to say it was like 1,000 ninja he took down. Surviving outnumbered when he rendezvoused, team afterwards, countered. Let's see here now. Still can't say. It still doesn't give me. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was like 1,000 ninja he took down with just with that jutsu alone. So yeah. Anywho, moving back to the plot. So if we're using that as his actual speed, then yes, Minato is by far the faster. Then we get into actual techniques. I already explained the Flying Thunder God. Obviously, he's the creator of the Rasengan. He meant to add his own nature chakra to it, but he just never got around to it. He died before he could do it. I have no doubt, though, he would have eventually done it. So he has that. He has the Toad summoning technique, summon any Toad he wishes. He is a master at seals. There are a whole bunch of different Thunder God techniques. He can also use a Thunder God technique to absorb an attack and basically send it to another location where he's put a seal. So that's a very amazing technique. He can create barriers. He's got obviously the dead demon consuming seal, which is basically the what steals your soul and sucks it out. He does have Sage mode, but by his own admission, he is not very good at Sage mode. Give me 1 second to get that up here real quick, because it should note Senjutsu. Minato's large chakra reserves enable him to learn Senjutsu from Mount Uebuka. He could perfectly balance the natural energy with his chakra, displaying only the orange pigment in his eyes, which is the true markings of a true sage. That should, in theory, mean he masters Sage mode. However, by his own admission, his skill Senjutsu was limited, and he takes too long to build up his chakra. He hasn't used it in actual battle and cannot maintain it for long. So Naruto was honestly of the three we see using Toad Sage mode, was the true master of Sage mode. Funny we don't really see. I mean, I haven't watched or read Boruto. Does he ever use Sage mode again in Boruto? Let me know. I know he uses Kurama Chakra mode all the time to fight these guys, but does he ever use the Sage mode again? Because I loved the Sage mode. I thought was a great addition to Naruto's arsenal. Really, it was. But yeah, so but he does have the Jinchuriki transformation, but honestly, we're not using that form because we only see him use it in Edo Tensei, and this would be prior to that, because I'm not going to give him Chakra mode when the only reason we know he has it is because it killed him. Because if we give him Chakra mode, then I have to use Edo Minato, and at that point, that Minato, unless you were to obliterate his entire body, destroy the kunai in there, or seal him away, can't be killed. So that's A, not a fair matchup, and B, makes no sense. Otherwise, though, he is one of the strongest shinobi to ever come out of the Hidden Leaf. Isshin, it's said that he's a Kido master, but we never actually see him using Kido. He is a master in hand-to-hand combat, though. Like, he uses that flick technique, and yeah, he does flick his middle finger. Basically, it's simultaneously a technique and giving ice in the middle finger. I did like that. Where he basically flicks his finger and, sends someone back. But he is overall an actual really good, really solid hand-to-hand combatant. He knows Shimpo. He's pretty much a master of that. He says he's a bit rusty. He's still extremely capable of using, capable swordsman. And his Zanpakuto and Getsu, which I believe is Burning Moon. Getsu is Moon. I know that. I can't actually remember what Engetsu. It's something like that, Fire Moon or Burning Moon, because the N is basically the N is something to do with fire, because his Zanpakuto is a fire type. Now the image here is colored, but this might not actually be what the image looks like in the anime. This might actually be like blue fire or something like that. But we know it is a fire-based Zanpakuto. Engetsu, Scathing Moon. Okay, it was something to do with like fire and burning, something like that. Basically, the sword itself doesn't change, but it gets enveloped in essentially a burning Reiatsu of some kind. Apparently, which is weird. The blaze sheath, the flame creates like a spiritual energy, which engulfs the sword's tassels, creating long trailing streams. Very unique. Now, it does have an energy attack. He can take his blood, spit it onto his sword, releasing a large amount of energy from the sword that slams into his opponent. The attack had enough power to blow off White's arm, which was essentially a artificial hollow created by Aizen. It's never actually truly explained what White was. He was some sort of experiment. And it's implied that he pretty much had kind of the strength of a Vasta Lourdes. He was not, an experimental hollow used by Sosuke Aizen. It's not actually fully said what White actually was, in terms of what he actually, like, was he supposed to be an experimental Vasta Lourdes? What was he has the form of, because Vasta Lourdes are small and humanoid compared to other hollows. He does have the form of a Vasta Lourdes. So I'd have to go under the assumption that it was probably akin to one, because he did give Isshin a good fight. He gave Isshin a solid fight. And Isshin can't use his Bankai, like I said, because injuries cause his Ryatsu to kind of flux, and for whatever his Bankai does, again, whenever you get to that one, it'll be a little while before I get to Isshin. I still got other squads to go through. Whatever Isshin's Bankai does, we won't be able to see it in this fight. So, apparently he can use Getsuga Tensho as well. So anyway, these two end up fighting. Who wins the fight? Well, let's say there's a hollow issue, or during like the Nine-Tailed Fox attack, Isshin and Minato meet up. Like, Isshin thinks the cube is a hollow. He's trying to take it down. Minato's like, no, wait, I can stop it. I don't know who you are, but please let me stop it. Isshin's just wondering how this guy can see him. And obviously I'm going to let them see each other. So their fight goes down. Now, Minato immediately throws his kunai, and, Isshin just grabs like, you're going to have to do better than that. And he just kind of tosses the kunai, which immediately Minato comes in with a Rasengan, because Isshin sees the Rasengan formed in his hands, and just lands straight in Isshin's face, and goes flying into a wall. Isshin gets up, though. It's like, that hurts. But he's like, oh, okay. All right, I see how this is. You think you can really just do whatever you want, huh? Look, I'm not here to catch up. If you want to fight, we can fight. Get the death battle. But you can fight! And they begin. And Minato throws another one. However, this time Isshin just flicks it back, just ding, and Minato's not prepared. He gets hit. Fortunately, he's got seals all over the place, so he immediately pops back again, grabs his arsenal of kunai, and he immediately just tries to blitz him through instantaneous movement. Now, Isshin could see this. He saw that the kunai are special. He can even see seals on him, and immediately realizes that that's what he's doing. And he's using Shunpo to try to get out of the way. Obviously, Minato's going to outspeed him because of just sheer teleportation. But Shunpo is enough to at least give him some distance. Minato then comes again with a Rasengan, and then Isshin just yells out, "Burn and Getsu!" And then, obviously, the flames come out, and now Minato has to backtrack. He fires off what I'm guessing he could probably use a Getsuga Tensho in that state as well, because he could use one without activating his sword. So I'm guessing you could do one in there, except he'd be more like a fiery Getsuga Tensho, which, I mean, a Getsuga Tensho kind of already is like blue fire anyway. Fires it back, and Minato's like, fire style? I've never seen a technique like that. It's like, yeah, you haven't seen anything yet. Minato again, though, just, throws the kunai, and goes like, nope, not going to happen. Just burns the kunai, but Minato bears it, disappears, immediately reappears behind Isshin. Isshin sees the seal and goes like, son of a, and then Minato lands Rasengan right on his back, also puts the seal on his back. Isshin goes flying, but immediately stops himself. He's able to Shunpo and then boom, gut check Minato. Just, and then Isshin's like, give it up, you can't beat me. And then Minato immediately gets two Rasengans. It's like, let's agree to disagree. And then all of a sudden disappears and just boom, slams right into Isshin's back again. Now Isshin's hurt. Now he's like, much more of this, I won't be able to use my Bankai. What is this guy? What kind of technique is this? And then Isshin gets hit again. He's like, oh, son of a, how is he? And then he realizes, really rips off his captain Hori, his captain coat, and sees the seal on there. There's a seal on there as Minato is about to come at him again. This time, however, when Minato appears on the coat, Isshin smiles like, got you. Burn! And then just immediately lights the whole coat in Minato ablaze. Minato gets out of there, activates Sage Mode, as it took a while to do. Or maybe not activate Sage Mode, but uses a substitution jutsu. Minato is using Sage Mode. Summons Toad. Maybe even summons Gambuta. Says, Buta! take care of the fox. But right there, summons the Naruto, which does battle with Isshin. Isshin's able to deal with the toad. Minato finally goes into Sage mode. He can only handle the Sage mode for a little bit, but he can still go into Sage mode. He probably can only stay in there for maybe a couple minutes, less time than even Naruto could initially. So Minato comes in, rushes in at higher speed, but again, fortunately, Isshin's faster. But unfortunately, Flying Thunder God takes place. So, he's just blitzing back and forth, tries to snag Isshin. Isshin dodges, but the Sage mode comes in and just smacks Isshin right in the face. Like, oh! It's like, what the hell? It's like this, and then all of a sudden, Minato basically has the 5-prong seal, because if Orochimaru can do it, I guarantee Isshin could have done it. And basically just boom, and then it's like, what is this? And Isshin then grabs and is like, you're not going anywhere this time. Burn! Unfortunately, spiritual Ryatsu and chakra kind of go hand in hand, because chakra is said to be made up of physical and spiritual energy. So it's at minimum half Ryatsu on some level. So he finds that his Zangetsu is kind of just fluttering in and out. It's like, what? What did you do? It's like, I sealed off your chakra, though what you use apparently isn't quite chakra. You're still able to use some of your abilities. That's right. That's right. Never underestimate a captain on a 13-court guard squad. And then all of a sudden he just flares the Ryatsu as hard as he can, and is able. And I can imagine he could burn out the seal, like actually force the seal open. It's like all of a sudden the seal is forced open, and he's like, "What?" And he's like, "You're not. I told you, you're not going anywhere." Minato just lands a Rasengan. The Sage hands Rasengan, and just lands point blank. However, what he fails to realize is that because the seal's been busted on Isshin just suddenly runs him through, and then burn, and then just suddenly lights the blaze while inside Minato. He screams out in pain. They both go flying back. So basically, they're both now on the ground, just coughing up blood. Just Minato's Sage mode runs out, and he's now even coughing up more blood. And they both kind of get up. And Minato's got one last Rasengan. He's still got Engetsu here. Just the guy's like, this is over. It's like, I got you now. And all of a sudden, Minato's mouth disappears and lands one more Rasengan right on his, or it lands one more Rasengan right on, or was about to, as Isshin sees that his hands got his heels. Like, no. It's like, got you. And all of a sudden he charges up a Rasengan, and Isshin does the unthinkable. As he disappears, he chops his hand off. Just, and then all of a sudden, Ghost Rasengan gets the blood. As Isshin immediately appears, because yes, they can react, even though it's technically instantaneous. Isshin's attack speed and reaction speed would still be enough to keep up to some degree, and if he reacts in time, gets the hand away from him, Minato immediately appears like a few feet in front of him. It's like, wait, that's not, he cut off his own hand? What's he, what is he? Just sprays the blood right in his face. Just, basically like fire spitters. It's like, the Rasengan misses. And then Minato's just there burning. And unfortunately Minato goes down. Now I didn't incorporate some of the other things like sending attacks other places, mostly because I don't think it would have mattered. Isshin's been around long enough. He's had enough experience to basically realize, okay, that's not going to work. Time to try something else. So I ultimately I had to give it to Isshin. While Minato is far trickier, far more tactical, he's also far more squishier. He can't take the same amount of damage Isshin can. And even though you can technically run out of Ryatsu, your spiritual energy can be drained. It's not quite the same as when you're running out of chakra. Because Engetsu, Zanpakuto has its own Ryatsu as well. And yes, your Ryatsu does power it to some degree, but it has its own Ryatsu as well. From what we can tell, Ryatsu is a lot harder to run out of than chakra is. Even like the most advanced fighters seem to run out of chakra a lot quicker than we see people in Bleach run out of Ryatsu. So take into consideration that Minato will probably tire out faster than Isshin is. Isshin also has just the durability and strength advantage. And frankly, probably an overall power advantage as well when it comes to his attacks. And he's able to at least be comparable with speed to a degree. I got to go with Isshin on this. That's not to say there aren't scenarios where Minato win. I actually think there's quite a few scenarios Minato win. But you're asking me if I had to edge out the victor on a majority percentage, like a 51%, I'd give the 51% to Isshin myself. But that's my opinion. I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of people who disagree with me. Not cool. Let's just have a fun argument about it. And you know what? Maybe if I redid this fight, I'd lean more towards Minato. But for right now, if you're asking me in the moment after knowing what I know about the characters and doing the video, I am going to go with Isshin. I don't mean in the moment like I just decided right there who the winner was. I mean for this time that I'm doing this video, obviously. Anyway, until then, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, who wants to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know we'll do a review of it at some point. And ideas for who would win, Star Wars, superhero, magic, what if, anything to do with the channel. Put that in the comments below as well. I'll get that at some point. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Later.